Right, getting back to the story. Early childhood was, yeah, I thought it was pretty golden. I was born in like Montreal, very close. Like I think it was actually technically off the island. And then my mother was actually kind of British because her mom's British, and my dad's French Canadian, but he's not French at all. And they went. From what I can gather, her mom worked at a A&W, either in Kent, England, or maybe when they got to Canada, or something. But my grandfather would work on boats and stuff, and like sand boats, and I don't know, I can't remember what he did, but that's what he did when I was interacting with him later on in his life. So but eventually he decided that he wanted to go back to the sea, which is like, well, what's better than BC? I don't know what his plan was and all that stuff, because I haven't been in great contact with, the family. Not a lot of my family was for long periods of time, but sorry, I'm spaced out because of what's going on right now in my life. Yeah, and then I have early memories of spending time with him. But I have very early memories of my mom and dad fighting a lot. And then later on I learned that, she ran away with the next door neighbor and just went to Montreal and left like her three kids. Like who does that, right? Wait a minute, my friggin' mouth is all dry. It's hot out here, and but hey, we've all done some crazy things, right? But I mean, that's pretty crazy, man. And I've probably had to deal with that since she did it, like subconsciously. But hang on, let me drink. Giant hawk circling the baseball field here. It's probably gonna eat me up, or it's some vultures have come for me. Yeah. Alright, bring it on. So yeah, earliest memories, I remember the thing is, after that happened, I can remember living with like this larger woman and then other people, and then what happened was my dad, I remember he was having a relationship with the teacher at our school, because my dad was still in BC, and he's just like, what the fuck? Like, what the... And, we're just with him, which was probably, it was pretty cool. But then I think, I don't know, yeah, looking back, he ducked us too, because, but I don't know if he could even handle it, because he was like kind of like he was, trying to grow marijuana at some point, and he became kind of a shady type, and I've always tried to not be like him, even though I barely know him. So let me think. It's hard a school teacher, and then I think he eventually moved to Mississauga, and then to Toronto, and he was dating someone. But my parents would, I remember we were with my grandmother and like these other people that were Jehovah's Witnesses, because my grandmother was a big Jehovah's Witness. And eventually she lost her mind and was in the columns and stuff. But the thing is, oh, they're coming for me. Hang on. I'm not armed. Where was I? Alright, thanks. You just fucked up my whole video. Fuck. Where was I? Eventually. Yeah, my father. And then we would fly back and forth. My brothers. But this is the fucked up part, okay? Like I'm the middle brother. There's another brother, like a year or something younger than me, and then there's my older brother's like 3. I can't even remember. He's like 4 years older or something. But he's a lot bigger. Me and my other brother are more like, slender, more athletic. He's more like bigger, like. And so. Fucked up thing is, like, grandmother, she was kind of already insane. Like, that's how much of a Jehovah's Witness she was. She was fucking strict as Jehovah's Witness. Probably drove her insane, I don't know. But I didn't dislike her or anything, you know what I mean? And and she took care of us when we were young. Like, my mother just took the fuck off. And it left her with basically my grandmother, because I think my dad was fucking probably all fucked up, or that eventually he fucking would dump on other people because he probably had to or whatever. But the thing is, I'd actually, now that you see, that's why I'm doing this. Now I remember in Montreal, they tried to go from Montreal by themselves or something, or to the parents who moved to BC from Montreal with nothing, and this is with kids, and then, or they went to BC and then they went to Montreal, I think, as a lot of people do. Everybody wants to move to Montreal. Different people want to move to special places of Montreal. Like if you're a young 30s trendy girl, you want to move to the Plateau or whatever it's called. Okay, I'm talking about Montreal. So, anyways, my father, my grandmother, and then this larger lady would take care of us. I remember I had that big Hulk doll, and I used to put big toilet paper clothes for him. Big plastic Hulk doll. Remember that when I was young, with his purple shorts and everything. I loved that thing. And I remember my mother would say, "Oh, you always had your Flintstones bottle, and like you almost died when you took it away," or something. Or she'd go, "You're always funny, kid." And was always hated that, because I was like, "What? You think I'm retarded, bitch?" No, I'm just kidding. Okay. So anyway, now I remember. Like when they were going, I remember being with them in the backseat of a car from going from Montreal to BC, and like hitchhike. I remember being like them when they were begging, and like old people were coming up to us and like giving us a fucking popsicle, and they're going like, "Oh my God, your kids are so gorgeous, and you guys are like such a good looking." Because my mother and father are like, I don't know how they got any money, because they're like fucking gorgeous, right? Like, my parents are so gorgeous that, okay, I don't want to brag or do anything, because I'm trying to make this channel against them. But, you know what I mean? Like, people would just take pictures of them and put them in the newspaper. Like, and then I was lucky. I would be able to get into modeling and stuff when I was younger. But I turned into a person that, like, hated modeling or anything, and I even tried to do that, and it was like, ugh. I became really like kind of an antisocial, person, and that's what I'm trying to figure out. But So I remember them begging and being at churches. We'd go to churches and then we'd get the fucking sorry for swearing so much. It's the fucking like those cherry. I remember there was like these strawberry cherries that are in a chocolate box, but it's like a little yellow box. I think it's called the Blossom, a cherry blossom. Yeah, fucking disgusting. I hate those fucking things. Like a boiling day, your fucking father just got like some fucking free pack from a church or something, and he gives you one of these. It's like, oh, thanks, man. Perfect. Fucking so I guess they didn't have too much problem getting money and getting fucking across Canada. Good looking people it's crazy how it's like that. Like ugly people would have a harder time in their life, and it's crazy how life's like that. But anyways, it's not fair. Like there's so many people on TV, it's just like, it's too much now. Like, come on, this is not real. You know what I mean? It's like porn for me. Like, I'm not a real big porn guy. I don't. But like, it's so fake. You know what I mean? Like, So anyway, why am I talking about porn? Jesus. Oh man, I'm screwed. I got no more cigars here. This is the first time I've sat outside this long in quite a while. I'm losing my mind, which is why I'm doing this. So yeah, and then in BC, I remember growing up, my grandfather was awesome. I remember he was I'd watch him, he's like, go get my cigarettes, and he's working on these boats in BC in his land and everything. He's got this huge land, and my grandmother's Jehovah's Witness. He's just come out of this little house and mobile home thing, and they're cooking. Don't make fun of her religion, and he's apparently, this mom said he was funny guy, but like all I remember, he'd be like, go get my cigarettes. I think he was kidding or something. He'd be like, but BC is so beautiful. Like right now, like what I'm about to do, man, I'm probably gonna end up back there, even though I'm not really ready to go back and just like all reconcile with all like family members that I've burned bridges with right now, but the climate over there is probably a lot better for what I'm planning on getting into. Basically, I have no choice getting into because I've developed like emotional problems, and I just can't deal with a lot of the rat race anymore. But I don't want to get sidetracked. I'm trying to do an early childhood video here. Okay. So my father. So yeah, my father, great looking guy, and then my mother just takes off with the next door neighbor, this just like crazy sex nutcase, bald idiot, whatever. But that, like now that I'm older, that inevitably would have happened anyway. The way things work, So, especially considering how good looking my mom was and became. She kind of, really good looking people just get better looking. Like George Clooney or whatever. I remember saying to my mom once, yeah, life goes on, huh? Why did he do that? Why didn't he stay in contact with me after? Because I ended up with my mom later on in life, and she's like, oh well, life go. Maybe his parents did it to him, right? That's what happens in life. Whatever happens to your parents, they basically sometimes end up doing it to you, or you become your parents. But where was I? My father dated, obviously, and then I remember even being in extended long stays in people's homes, like a whole Jehovah's Witness family. I can't remember their name, but I probably shouldn't use names and stuff like that. But they took care of us like a family. I mean, I can't remember if it was like really loving and like, oh my God, really supporting me. But hopefully this battery doesn't die. But and wild stuff happened there. I remember one time there was like this old lady that was there, or it was the mother, and then like you get in trouble. We got in trouble there a lot. It's because they were really strict. Yeah, that was it. That was the thing. They were really strict and like crazy strict, you know. And we were really young, and I'll never forget it because I remember all the bikes they had. I left them behind his truck. It was my fault, I think. I'm not 100% sure. And then he just came out and he pulled out, and now they're all there, you know. And he ran over all of them, and oh fuck, that was fucking insane. He fucking flipped the fuck out. I can't remember if he hit me or anything, but and they had some chickens there. It was a nice place. It was really nice, really like off-grid in BC. You know, tall, really big trees, and you know, it's like a great place. Blueberries everywhere. You know, BC's beautiful place to grow up. So blessed. I mean, to have grown up there for that time. And then I went back later on in life at other periods. But, oh man, it was crazy living there, and they were really strict, and, you know, you go to church all the time and everything. And they had a lot of kids too. I think they probably, because that's what they do. They just, other people have money, and then the other Jehovah's Witnesses go, oh, can you take these 2 kids? And they're like, sure, no problem. You know? And then before they know it, there's like 10 kids there. And they probably got like, oh yeah, one time we went deep sea fishing, I remember, with my older brother. And I don't know who else, and the father or whatever, or his grandfather. Or maybe it was my grandfather. But that was crazy. That's probably like one of the epic things I did when I was young. And they caught like a huge fish, I think. Actually, I don't even remember if they caught anything. But they must have, if I can remember that it was that cool. And I think that was around that period of time. And that's why I'm doing these like memos, you know, because I want to trigger memories and then go back and forth through this stuff. So growing up there, and then from there, I think about, I don't know how many years passed before my mother actually agreed to take her own 3 kids, her own 3 sons, back. God knows, man. I'll do a whole series on what she was up to, because I couldn't, because I don't know. She was clearly, I don't know, maybe she got really deep into alcohol, but she was, anyways. So my father, I don't know what he was doing at that point, but then at some point he got into shady stuff, and he basically had to do it. He became like apparently a con man. And I remember actually, and then he started dating someone in Mississauga. I think he moved. Yeah, he went to Mississauga at some point. I don't know. I think at this point he had made a mistake and changed his name. And I'm not gonna obviously try to use names, but and I think he was at this point. I remember him living with him at some point when he was cleaning this place that sold boats, and he's probably done a lot of janitorial and maybe meaningless jobs that I've done in my life, but yeah, I remember cleaning with him and being in these buildings, and he eventually got dating this woman with 2 kids or something, or 3, in Mississauga, and then I think that was a long time thing for a while. But maybe my father is kind of the way I am, was kind of a bit of a loner himself, but because of the fact that he had kids and was always around kids, he was always more prone to be in relationships rather than myself, who maybe that's why I became how I am, or how it affected my life choices. But we would visit him. At this point, I remember, I don't know if it's right then. Oh no, it wasn't then. Or in Montreal, but I started stealing, and I started stealing everything. Like, I became like a kleptomaniac. We do wild stuff in Montreal. Stuff I'm probably not even going to end up talking about. But I remember when I was really young, like, I started stealing, like right from the door next door, like, and there's like coins in the mail, and you're like, holy shit, what the fuck is this? And then, I think that's when it started. But anyways, I'd be visiting, my mom they'd send us back and forth on a plane from so there was years, like 4 years, from BC to Montreal, where my mother, they had money, my mom and him, because he landed some job. That's why they went there. And because I think they were all losers when we were all young. Right? So and then we would visit, so we'd go back and forth on the plane, and I'd always have the window seat, but the fucked up thing is, my other brother, he was never able to go see my mom. So, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know why that happened. Like, I think she was probably just like, I can't handle all this, or like they figured something out. I don't think there was any court or some kind of agreement, or it was too much, or because he never came, and because he ended up staying with those people, that family that was so strict, and so he got kind of fucked. And I really feel bad for him that happened to him, but maybe that made him into the person that he was. I don't really interact with him, and I probably will never, after what happened with that, with me and him through later stuff. But that's too bad for him, and I always felt bad for him for that, because he showed up in Montreal when we were like, after my mom got more like situated with this like guy who didn't have a lot of money then, but then after he, but he like had like, it was a friend through a friend, and then they had a home, and he had a managed crap, he was like a manager or some, Wendy's or something, I don't know. So really nothing, but the guy was so cheap that he's able to, like, he was paying his mortgage or whatever. That happened like right after they started dating or got together, and then life kind of began, like childhood in Montreal. on a different. But I'd been in Montreal in other places like Beaconsfield, and I was the first one that my mother took back. I don't know if I was the favorite or my mother was being materialistic and like shallow, and I was like, oh, he's the best looking one. But I was the first one that got to go back to my mom. I know that. And or maybe my grandmother forced my mom eventually. Who knows, maybe guilt, she succumbed to the guilt. But my mom's not really an evil person. But obviously sometimes you hate your mom. So I was the lucky one. But it kind of sucked because she was just the same way. She was like he was a total dick. He was the worst stepfather you could ever have. This guy was just a total fucking asshole. I could do a whole series on this guy, and I probably will. But I think one time I saw him use a knife and spread some peanut butter on one slice of bread because he was like babysitting for like this one night. And he was such a dick. He's probably like all drunk, and he's like, So what do you guys want? And I think it was like this. It wasn't like, so what do you guys want for dinner? Like, you want all this? Or like, what do you want? It was like, so what do you guys want? Oh, you want peanut butter and toast? All right. And he just like started doing it. And I'm like, yeah, peanut butter and toast. It's like, just a fucking asshole. Like, you wouldn't even interact with us. He'd just be like doing my mom, non-stop. You know what I mean? They would just like get us into like things like scouts to get us out of the house. You know what I mean? So, but anyways, and we would get into some wild stuff like throwing rocks at trains, and you know what I mean, like cops bringing us home. My mom's just like, oh shit. Right? These nutcase babysitters that we had. Oh fuck, I could do a whole series on babysitters that we had that I can barely remember, or even if I want to mentally go back into. Jesus Christ. Oh my god. Babysitters. I don't know if I had babysitters that were like bad. Well, like I said, this guy was a fucking asshole, right? So that sucked all the time. Especially when I got there, because I was the first one, right? So fuck, my hand is all getting paralyzed now. I've been out here like an hour. I got no more cigars. Okay, let's... let me just try to wrap this up a bit quickly as the first video. I was the first one, so I really felt, looking back, I was really lucky for that. So I'm really blessed of the three sons, and my three siblings. Eventually, my mom had actually, later on in life, she had another daughter with that guy who we grew up on in NDG, Montreal, with. She actually turned out to be a lesbian. Probably, I think, because of him. And now that I've realized, and that's another thing that I want to check out. That's why I'm doing this. I want to figure out. Well, that's not why. I don't care about that. I know that happened. Yeah, it's like after spending time with him, I realized that that's probably why his daughter really became averse to men. Because he's such perv. And I think men in general, as they get older, they get all perv. Which I will never be like. It's just, to me, it's the worst thing. You know what I mean? Like, so where was was I? Yeah, I was the first one, and then my older brother, their 4 years were all in BC, and then I started going, and then me and my younger brother started going. I think I said his name just before. I'll try to cut that out. I don't even know how to do all this stuff, and you know, I remember skating I think it was near Beaconsfield in the winter, and then I was basically there. I think at one point either I stayed there and then I stayed there, and then me and my younger brother would go back and forth on planes, and my dad would pick us up, or sometimes. I remember my dad would always tell me, he's like, whenever you go in the bathroom, you always put toilet paper down. And I always do that, fucking like religiously. Like the building could be burning down, and I would be like, fuck, I gotta put fucking toilet paper down. You know what I mean? Fucking, like, I'd have to leave the bathroom. You know what I mean? If I couldn't. You know what I mean? And run into the woods like Kramer. Like, and actually, like walking outside, it's a lot cooler than doing it in a bathroom, guys. Now that we can see that on YouTube, all these bushcraft guys. So anyway, my older brother, Screwed, he's out there. I don't know, he's just out there, and then he became out there. And then he wasn't even out with us. We started growing up in NDG, and it was not that bad. I was really lucky, because then this rich guy who owned a printing company, he was a friend of the friend who met them through their friends, and then he had this place up north, and my mom would sing, and then they'd play guitar, and da-da-da-da. They're Rolling Stones fans, everybody is. My parents from this generation. My parents are like, I don't think they're Woodstock generation, but anyways, my mom always wanted to be a singer. I don't know if she was really that good, but I basically grew up on a bed of coats. If you've ever grown up with musicians. But my mother had jobs too, which I'll probably get into. But anyways, yeah, my brother got screwed, so went. And then we were like, remember when we were like, I think, not when I was 18. No. Anyway, or maybe he was 18. But he comes back out of the blue, like 5, I don't know how many years it was. And then boom, it's like either my father gave up, or he got, who knows, probably got arrested. He got into some crazy criminal stuff, like ripping people off, which I think he's pretty good at. Or he's just compulsively, That's probably why I was always stealing when I was young. Yeah, I remember stealing like crazy, and he'd beat the crap out of me with all the people that, the relationships that he had. Like, just crazy punishments. I'm going to do a whole series on the punishments I've had from parents or from getting caught stealing. Oh, all the times I got caught stealing. That's a great video right there. So anyways, my brother shows up, and we're like adolescent, like, I don't even know how old I was, like 14, 15. I couldn't have been 18, because when I was 18, was it 20 I lost my virginity? Oh man, I'm 50 now. I could barely remember. So that's kind of the end. I'm just gonna wrap this one up, because I want to go. I gotta head back to my room I have, and it's too bad my brother, he ended up showing up out of the blue, and then it's like, oh, you have an older brother. It's like, what the fuck? Okay. And I guess I'll get into how that went and other things, but anyway, thanks guys, welcome to the channel, and this is just like a demo or whatever, or an intro, and thanks for your support. If you want to get into get more updates, subscribe. And I'm going to be working on this now. It's hard for me to get into it. I'm not a shy person, but I'm just going through a lot right now, and I've never really been such an open with all of this stuff. But it's really good for me to get it out, I think. So anyway, thanks for listening. And if you have been through something like that, leave a comment. And everybody be nice. And have a great day. See you guys.